Police Department. Hey, you Mr. Wiley?
Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm so sorry. Okay. So, do you remember what she was last wearing?
I left for work yesterday, so like I work at night.
So you work at night? Okay.
Yeah,
So who was she hanging out with whenever she ran off?
I don't know. I got off work. She's not here.
Who was supposed to drop her off here? So you went to work last night,
So
and she was here?
Yeah.
Okay. And then when you came home, she was gone? Okay.
Yeah.
Does she suffer from any like disabilities or anything like that?
I don't know. I'm just raising a child right now at this point.
I hear you. Do you know of anywhere she might go? I know you said you don't know about her friends, but...
First time when we got her, she went to an abandoned apartment.
I was there for that one.
I would never realize, so I don't know.
And then are you okay, just for policy-wise, if I look in the house, make sure she's not hiding under anywhere?
Yeah.
Okay. I know.
The police report says there was no sign of forced entry, no broken window, no damaged lock, no struggle. The father who called it in told them his daughter must have run away again. She'd done it before, he said, so this didn't surprise him. He answered every question. He let them swab his cheek. He handed over her clothes without being asked twice. Calm, cooperative, concerned, even. In the way you'd expect from a man whose 12-year-old daughter had vanished in the middle of the night. Detectives would look back on that composure very differently later on. At the time, it read as a worried father holding it together. Months later, prosecutors would argue it was something else entirely. 12-year-old Lori Paige disappeared from that apartment on June 3, 2023. And the version of events her father gave police that morning, calm, cooperative, plausible, was piece by piece going to fall apart. Most reports introduce Lori Paige as a missing child. We want to start with who she actually was. Lori created routines wherever she could. She kept a small digital clock on her desk at school, worried over every grade, and played basketball and soccer with a speed that surprised people who didn't expect it from her. She earned straight A's in Tampa and gravitated toward teachers more than classmates. Small, deliberate ways of creating stability in a life that rarely offered her any. Her parents had been separated for years, living in different states, and Lori had spent most of her childhood moving between them depending on whatever else was happening in each of their lives at the time. She had also been struggling. A therapist later disclosed that Lori talked about feeling unwanted, that her mother had said things to her no child should have to hear about themselves. She'd been hospitalized once before. She was on medication for anxiety. There's a detail in Lori's medical history that almost no other coverage on this case has mentioned. She started her period at age 9, years earlier than typical, something her mother would later connect to a pattern running through the family. At the time, it was just a note in a pediatric file. It would matter much more than anyone could have guessed. By 2022, Lori was living with her mother, Miranda White, in Tampa. That was about to change. Miranda was finishing a graduate degree, living on financial aid. A funding gap led to an eviction notice. She called Lori's father, Andrew Wiley, and asked him to take Lori, temporarily, while she found her footing again. Temporary became permanent. Andrew enrolled Lori at Griffin Middle School in Tallahassee. He worked the overnight shift as a corrections officer, which meant a 12-year-old girl was, on a regular basis, alone in that apartment through the night. Miranda has said she tried calling, that Andrew wouldn't pick up, that she had to reach Lori through the school switchboard instead. A call that visibly upset Lori, hearing her mother's voice come through a classroom phone, a reminder that nothing in her life was actually settled. Lori had already run away once before, for 24 hours, in May 2023. She came home safe. Investigators would later ask whether she'd been trying to escape something that no longer felt safe at all. On May 25th, just over a week before Lori disappeared for good, Miranda traveled to Tallahassee and confronted Andrew. She recorded part of it. That footage would later become one of the most important pieces of evidence in the case, the last confirmed footage of Lori alive. What was said in that confrontation has never been fully made public.
I know that I have a child that the police are looking for. I'm not just going to hold them. I'm going to move them. I'm going to hide them. I'm going to...
Right. Well, if you're thinking on the lines of placing the blame on us, then...
Not the blame. I'm not placing the blame on y'all. How y'all handled it, it was mishandled. It was very mishandled.
Then you can be on the right side of this thing.
You can investigate everything. I'm on the right side of this thing. I don't have it.
I'm saying, like, there's no reason...
But I'm not entitled. I don't have to cooperate with y'all. I don't trust y'all.
Okay.
Well, one of the things is, so maternal DNA.
I know how it works. I know how it works.
Okay.
Mitochondrial DNA, baby. Trust me. I got it.
Okay.
I got a master's degree in this.
Well, and that's what we're trying to do.
And I'm saying that I want the case file. Y'all want what y'all want, but I can't get what I want. Because what's going to happen is that when these case files get lined up, this is going to look real stupid. And y'all, there's going to be a lot of holes to poke and why this didn't happen, why it should have happened.
Yeah.
Okay. And
so if you want what you want and I want what I want, and this is how you get things done. This is how you get things done.
The timing alone tells you something. 8 days later, Lori was gone. 8 months after Lori vanished, 2 Tallahassee detectives flew to Nashville to sit down with Miranda face to face. Miranda had been requesting the case file since the beginning and kept being told the case was still open, which legally meant she couldn't have it yet. She felt she'd been treated as a suspect instead of a mother. At points in that interview, her anger is aimed squarely at the department in front of her. But something shifted as the conversation went on. The detectives explained, specifically, what they had chased down and why. Miranda began giving them things no one had heard yet. That Lori knew her mother's phone number by heart, and that she would have called if she possibly could have. She handed over a DNA swab and the video from May 25th. She told detectives she didn't believe Andrew would hurt Lori, that she never would have left her daughter there if she'd thought otherwise. Months later, detectives would seize something that completely changed the direction of this case. But before they ever touched it, they had to decide whether they believed the father at all. June 3rd, 2023. Andrew left for his overnight shift. By his account, Lori was home, alive, asleep. By his account, when he came back the next morning, she was simply gone. No struggle, no note, nothing taken but herself. For months, that account held. Lori had run before. The canvas turned up nothing. Tips about a sighting at a skate park, a rumor about an older man, all of it dissolved under scrutiny. Andrew, on the surface, remained the cooperative, grieving father. Then, in February 2024, 8 months later, detectives seized his phone. They opened the search history. Alabama, Georgia, remote land, the Apalachicola National Forest. None of it made sense on its own, not until investigators mapped where his phone had actually traveled that same day. Then they searched his car. Inside, a pistol, ammunition, a cleaning product made specifically to remove blood. They cut the carpet out and sent it to the lab. It came back as Lori's blood. Then came the plane ticket. One way, Jacksonville to Puerto Rico. Purchased in the window after Lori was last seen alive. Then the destroyed electronics. Then the apartment, emptied out, with no word to investigators about where he'd gone. Each piece on its own could be explained away. Together, laid out in order, they stopped looking like coincidence and started looking like a plan. There's something else worth sitting with. In all the months Lori lived with her father, she had no documented friend group. Her social media activity stopped entirely after March 2023, months before she vanished. No digital footprint, no messages, nothing that suggested a child building a normal life. Just silence, slowly closing in around her, well before anyone outside that apartment had reason to be alarmed. In April 2025, nearly 2 years after that 911 call, a controlled burn cleared brush in a remote field in Thomas County, Georgia. What it exposed was human remains, 2 bones. That is what nearly 2 years of exposure and Georgia heat had left of a 12-year-old girl. Cell tower data placed Andrew's phone at that exact field on the day Lori vanished. He had searched for the location. He had driven there. He had come home, gone to work the next shift, and called police to report his daughter missing. It took 4 days to confirm the identification was Lori's. 4 days, After nearly 2 years of waiting for a family to finally get an answer they had been begging for since June of 2023. An answer that came down to 2 bones in a field off a rural Georgia road. State Attorney Jack Campbell told the public what the evidence pointed to. The motive was almost certainly sexual assault. Andrew was being treated for a sexually transmitted disease at the time Lori disappeared. Investigators believed he may have gotten his own daughter pregnant. He had reportedly been searching for emergency contraception in the days before she died. Campbell described a scenario consistent with a violent confrontation, one that escalated, possibly because Lori was no longer willing to stay silent. Campbell also raised something almost too disturbing to sit with directly, that instead of killing her outright, Wiley may have considered putting her into a trafficking situation. Whether that was discussed, attempted, or abandoned in favor of murder, we may never fully know, because the one person who could answer that question is no longer able to. The official cause of death was never determined. 2 bones, after nearly 2 years exposed to Georgia heat and wildlife, do not tell a complete forensic story. Whatever fetal DNA evidence might have existed, evidence that could have proven the abuse beyond any doubt, had long since returned to the earth before anyone found her. Andrew Wiley was charged with second-degree murder. He never stood trial. 2 months after his arrest, he died in custody at the Leon County Detention Facility of a pulmonary embolism. His brother said he maintained his innocence to the end, and that his planned defense rested on a claim that Lori had been seen alive after the date prosecutors said she died. The system built its case. It tied the phone records to the blood to the plane ticket to a man who was already planning his exit. None of it was ever read aloud to a jury with his name attached. He took that conversation with him. Lori Paige kept a clock on her desk so she'd always know exactly how much time she had left. She never got to find out how much time she actually had. Lori wanted structure. She wanted stability. She wanted the chance to grow up. Instead, the person responsible for protecting her became the greatest threat she would ever face. This is how it happens inside families. Isolation first, control next. Nobody outside the home sees the full picture until it's far too late to matter. We tell her story so her name gets said out loud and means something. Rest well, Lori.